What makes a good rivalry in the NFL? Familiarity, back and forths, and the idea of being cheated out of wins once thought deserved or earned without even taking a snap. In the NFL, this most often points to divisional opponents who square off with each other regularly. In an odd way, some of the best rivalries come from teams who play each other 2 or 3 times a year, showing that people just can't get enough of certain elite players squaring off with that divisional chip on their shoulders. Every once in a while, though, 2 teams with little affiliation other than star-studded rosters, primetime matchups, and saving each other in other high-profile games breeds a different kind of rivalry. One filled with big plays, unexpected results, and ultimately heartache for one team. Such is now becoming the case between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. In the 2000s, the 2 teams brought us a few fun contests, whether they were high profile or not. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andre Caldwell, and Cedric Benson capped a win in 2008, while Carson Palmer, Lavernius Coles, and Chad Johnson brought a needed W for the eventual division crown campaign the very next year. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the highest profile win against Kansas City in which 85 would partake. Regardless, there were a couple of nice outings in the Andy Dalton-led Bengals era as well. Also, can we just take a second to appreciate AJ Green once again, please? I mean, dude. Obviously, this rivalry between Cincinnati and Kansas City dates back to AFL yesteryear with 2 coaching icons in Paul Brown and Hank Schramm at the helms of their respective teams. After losing the first 2 games in the Bengals' inaugural season, Cincinnati won the first matchup of 1969 with Bob Trumpy grabbing an 80-yard touchdown from, yes, Sam Weish. The Bengals got a win a couple of years later with a young quarterback named Ken Anderson at the helm. One of his touchdowns in the win was to Essex Johnson for 65 yards. Anderson talked about Johnson to us in an interview on the Orange and Black Insider, propping up the value number 19 had in the team's offense.
19, Essex Johnson was a great running back, but I remember just throwing, it was 86 halfback curl. It was Bill Walsh's. We had Bob Trumpy was on a little curl route. The halfback did a little in route. I read the middle linebacker. I'd throw a 5-yard pass. He'd take it 80 yards.
Oddly enough, Boomer Esiason, Weish, and the amazing 1988 Super Bowl squad couldn't put together a win in Kansas City that same magical year. Stanley Wilson had a touchdown run, but Nick Lowry hit a crushing game winner in an old AFC conference clash. But then, a decade and a half later, there was the guarantee. Cincinnati was putting together a scrappy year under first-time head coach Marvin Lewis, and an emerging star receiver for the Bengals called his shot against the then undefeated Chiefs. Peter Warrick outshined Dante Hall as the Bengals gained a signature win at home. Now, the Joe Burrow era has ignited another chapter in this rivalry. One with the Bengals beating one of the best teams in the league 3 times in a calendar year, that of 2022. The first was an amazing comeback win with big plays from Jamar Chase to get Cincinnati in the playoffs for the first time since 2015. And after an improbable run through the wild card and divisional rounds, Cincinnati traveled to Arrowhead Stadium for the conference championship. The script was incredibly similar to the game just a few weeks prior, seeing Kansas City jumping out to a big lead at halftime. Cincinnati clawed its way back through a myriad of tough, miraculous plays, ultimately culminating in
McPherson, and Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
In early December of 2022, Cincinnati saw a big lead evaporate, only to rip the hearts out of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs once again in a huge regular season win. Yet, even with the recent uncertainty around the league, both teams have punched their playoff tickets. While the road may be winding, it wouldn't be surprising at all to see them face each other in another iconic postseason clash. Will it provide a similar result? Will the winner make it to Super Bowl 57? Time will tell, but we're in for an interesting postseason with these two teams in it to be sure. And the stakes will never be higher.